If you are a startup looking to grow in Cambridge, the Bradfield Centre offers a range of flexible membership packages which put you in control of your office and home working mix. There's a vibrant, collaborative atmosphere, on-site cafe, plenty of green outside space, and regular member social events. For more information, visit bradfieldcentre.com or call 01223 919 600.
Welcome to the Cambridge Tech Podcast, talking all things technology from the heart of the UK's tech capital. Here are your hosts, Faye Holland and James Parton.
Hello, I'm James.
And I'm Faye. So another year has gone round and it was Mobile World Congress again this week. So I thought I would be really proactive and I put out a call for people to tell me what was going on at Mobile World Congress because neither of us were there. And it went down like a damp squib. Honestly, I got I think like Zav posted and Cambridge Clean Tech, a couple of people posted and sent me messages. But the irony is I posted something else on LinkedIn about writing quagmire in an email, which I was super proud of. And I got more interaction for writing an email with quagmire in it than I did for Mobile World Congress. I mean, get that.
Well, quagmire and telecoms, there's some synergy there, I think.
Oh yeah, but it was unrelated, but no, I like the synergy there. That's kind of good. Anyway, however, I did get some input. So our Deloitte resident prediction guru, Ben Stanton, was there. Cambridge consultants were there demoing photonic computing. I saw Toby Mills was there talking about Entopy's AI-enabled digital twin. So by the looks of things, it was a pretty huge draw once again. And maybe everyone was so busy networking that no one could actually respond to me.
I mean, it does seem to still be the place to be if you're in the mobile and telecoms industry, absolutely. I think the themes for this year were 5G and beyond, connecting everything, humanizing AI, manufacturing DX, game changers, and our digital DNA. So they kind of sound kind of interesting.
Yeah, they do. And you know what I thought was quite nice when I saw that was on next week's podcast, we've invited 3 of the winners of the 21 to Watch Top 21 because that's what the episode's about. And actually, the 3 people we've picked are covering 3 of those topics. So super relevant, I would like to think.
It's like you know what you're doing. This is amazing.
Oh, I know. Well, talking about that, so some other stuff. 4YFN were there. It was their 10th year supporting startups. And actually, I think we should go and find out a little bit more about that program because they've got a huge following within 4YFN. Have you come across them before?
Yeah, I've been to their events. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. I think my last World Congress must have been around 2016. And I went to like 2 or 3 of their events. So, yeah.
Okay. But the other bit of saying, do I know what I'm doing? I've always had this obsession with doing an event in a boxing ring. Okay. I know.
You have to get your aggression out.
Don't say that out loud to other people to hear. I'm not like that at all. But I just think it's like really quirky to do like a pitching competition in a boxing ring.
Aren't we moving away from all of that testosterone fueled pitching and like shenanigans? I don't know. Yeah,
but I just think a boxing ring. Anyway, the point is I think it was a really cool idea, and like Chris from Venue AV and Gemma will vouch for my random ideas. But actually, the digital talent space they do their event is in a boxing ring, so there's no originality in that idea whatsoever. So yeah, I'll park that one, shall I?
My last fun fact for World Congress before we move on is back to we always like to bring music into our episodes whenever we can. So I played a gig to about 350 people in the Bull Ring in Barcelona in one of the Mobile World Congresses. There you go.
Oh, there we go. We learn something every day. News. Let's get on with the news then, shall we?
Yes, let's do that. There's lots this week. Please do head over. We mention them every week and on the website and on the show notes. But our partner for our news is Business Weekly, and they put out lots of news stories throughout the week on their LinkedIn feed. So do check them out. The first highlight from this week is Monumo, who were featured back in episode 59, and they've just reached a new company milestone. They are redesigning the electric motor with deep tech engineering and are now able to run 10 million simulations in 24 hours. This means that it's now possible to identify optimal parameters for specific motor use cases, whether by reducing cost, increasing efficiency, or improving sustainability.
In other news, satellite comms company Hanwha Phaser, which has its ASIC Centre of Excellence at Cambridge Science Park, has formed an alliance with Lufthansa Technik to deliver advanced in-flight connectivity for commercial flights. It's a multi-year agreement, and it'll see Lufthansa Technik designing, building and supplying several hundred fuselage-mounted airborne satellite communications radomes for Hanwha Phaser each year. And a radome, and I went and looked this up for those who don't know what it is a structural weatherproof enclosure that protects the radar's antennae.
There you go. QPT's fundraising campaign on Crowdcube has exceeded their 600,000k target with 2 weeks to the deadline. They're based in the Bradfield Centre and they've raised the money from 192 individual investors. The company recently announced Rupert Baines as its CEO, which is effective from the 1st of April. And Rupert is a veteran of the semiconductor industry with C-level roles, including the CEO role at Ultrasoc, which was sold to Siemens, and the CMO of Codasip.
So congratulations to QPT and also to Rupert. And we met Rupert at Homerton Changemakers, didn't we, a year or so ago? And the final piece of news is from another St John's Innovation Centre tenant, Cinema 8, who is pioneering an innovative AI core video experience platform. And they've unveiled a strategic partnership with Dailymotion, a leader in video solution services. And the partnership is set to revolutionise the digital media industry by adding interactivity to videos on Dailymotion. So that's the end of the news section, but I did also catch up with Sylvie Russell from Cambridge Clean Tech as the deadline for this year's Venture Day is fast approaching. I asked Sylvie to tell us some more. Hi Sylvie, tell us a little bit about this year's Venture Day, please.
Hi Faye, yes, delighted to announce that the next Clean Tech Venture Day will be on the 2nd of July and it will be held at KPMG in Canary Wharf in London. So it's a full day from early morning to late evening with lots of networking opportunities.
And who are you looking for to apply this year?
So we are looking for 5 different themes this year. One will be for anyone that is working on a clean tech or climate tech solutions, and we can break them down in different sectors. One of them is water, energy, transport, circular economy, and building tech. But also in terms of funding, we're looking for companies that are looking for a level of seed, Series A or Series Bs.
So they've already raised capital then?
Yes. So that will be the second round, for example.
Okay, that's really important for people interested in applying to know. So if you're in one of those sectors and you're at one of those investment levels, then how do they apply and what's your deadline?
So the deadline is 22nd of March. So we still have 1 month to apply. I made it quite easy. There are 5 key questions to answer, and the form can be found on our website, on the Clean Tech Venture Day website. If not, if you cannot find it, join me on LinkedIn or on the Cambridge Clean Tech website.
Perfect. Well, let's hope we get you some good submissions and we'll get you back on the podcast to talk about the Venture Day and the finalists that make it there in July.
Fantastic. And I look forward to receiving the applications. Thank you.
Fabulous. Right. Well, let's get our teeth into today's episode.
So this episode is dedicated to the launch of the Cambridge Tech Week event for 2024. And we attended the launch event in Cambridge, didn't we, James?
We certainly did, yeah. Yeah, I kind of hosted a panel, and we're going to start the episode, actually, by sharing that panel discussion with everyone today. So we'll start the recording from the panellists introducing themselves. Wonderful. So I'll ask you all to just briefly introduce yourselves. So Carmen, I'll start with you.
I'm Carmen Palacios. I'm co-founder and CEO of New Quantum. We're a quantum networking company spun out of the university in 2018. So we're in the field of quantum computing. quantum computers are the next revolution in information technology, so a new way of processing and really using information. But these quantum computers are very hard to build. They'll be the size of a small data center, and what we're building is the quantum networking infrastructure that will be able to connect many quantum computing modules together so that we can really build the kind of quantum computers that will solve the really, really impactful problems.
Thank you, Carmen. Dave Moore, CEO of Pragmatic Semiconductor. I guess in 15 seconds, we make flexible chips. So ultra thin, flexible, ultra low cost, ultra sustainable chips, which basically enables us to embed them in virtually any object on the planet. Headquartered, I'm proud of it, here in Cambridge, manufacturing in the northeast in Durham. And thanks for the opportunity for being here.
Hi, I'm Pam Garside. I'm chairman of Cambridge Angels. I'm sure a lot of you know Cambridge Angels, a group of high net worth individuals, also who came out of Cambridge and are based here. Proud supporter of Cambridge Tech Week. It's glad to see our logo. My background's in health and health tech.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Harriet. I run a consultancy called HFA Limited, and it's been going for a number of years now. But until the end of last year, I ran Cambridge which was the shop window for Cambridge's innovation to the world for foreign direct investment. And I chair Cambridge Ahead, and I've just become very proudly a trustee of Cambridge Science Centre and sat on the committee for the inaugural Cambridge Tech Week last year.
Wonderful. I thought we'd start with a little bit of reflection, actually, just looking back at the first Tech Week in 2023. Well, I'll start with you, Harriet, because you've got the microphone. What were your impressions of last year, and what were your highlights?
So my impressions of last year was incredibly hard work, mainly, but very needed, very necessary, I think. And I really like the way Chris presented this year, and indeed we presented it last year, which is that this is not, and never will be, I don't think, Chris, about Cambridge telling the world how brilliant it is. You know, anyone that really understands technology and innovation will know the world prowess that Cambridge has, and it's very well documented, 1 billion words over. So Cambridge Tech Week last year, what I loved about the focus of it was that it was inaugural, so we needed to cover a range of things, but it was really about how can we as a community, as that ecosystem, encourage the best minds in the world to come to Cambridge, to collaborate even more than they are already. Many of you will have amazing international connections, but how do we make it a real beacon for the best minds in the world to come and meet with other best minds in the world and do some amazing things to address global challenges? And the highlight for me, I think, was that we had, I would say, probably 95% amazing feedback. So that's always a nice feeling that, we're on the right track to then, obviously for this year, move it to a different level.
So, Pam, do you want to come in on that?
Yeah, well, I can't say much because I wasn't here. I think I was in Las Vegas. It's worried, Chris, when you said this was like South by Southwest. I was thinking it was like South by Southwest without the drugs. Don't go into that one.
You're going to the wrong venue.
So I wasn't there, but Cambridge Angels was asked to support, and I have to say, our first reaction was, not another one. As in event, track. But I heard from my members and Mark Seven who runs Cambridge Angels, it was really good, questions about venue, but it was really good, and we had 2 angels doing office hours, sort of images of a gypsy tent come to mind, and they thought they'd be twiddling their thumbs, and they were mobbed by young companies and startups, and that's I may do a promotional for Cambridge Angels. We're sort of smart capital from entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs, and our members really like helping the young tech entrepreneurs, and that worked really well. So I did hear positive things. I think it's really important. I worked in America for a long time, still go there a lot, and I suppose JP Morgan is the big place that health and biotech go every January, but the concept of attracting people here I think is really good, and I did hear that it wasn't just Cambridge looking in on itself last year, so I think that's really positive.
Fabulous. David gets a pass because you're in the United States at the time.
I just got here, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I just left Vegas, actually. I'm sorry. But I would say I'm certainly looking forward to being able to play more of a role this year as it comes around. I think it is a good opportunity to kind of bring it outside in view. I would say from the outside inside of things, Cambridge has, obviously an amazing reputation. And I think there is an opportunity to bring more lens onto it. I think you look at the heritage of Cambridge, obviously the companies that have come out of it, you see them from the US side all the time. So I think these events are a good opportunity to bring a lens, but bring outside people in. Definitely looking forward to seeing how it comes together this year.
Carmen, you were a speaker in last year's programme. How did that go for you?
Yeah, so I was one of the panelists in the quantum session, and panels sometimes can be boring. This is
Thanks for the feedback.
But not all panels on quantum for all audiences quite work, and that one really worked, and I think people were really interested. There were lots of questions and a lot of people coming to us. It was good. It was good. My feedback was going to be about the venue, so I'm glad that was already there. And I think the other thing that I thought is that I'd really like to see investors on stage. I think it's a really, really important part of the ecosystem here, and there's they've got really interesting perspectives that they can share on a range of things. So yeah, maybe that's something for another year.
That's a perfect segue to my next question, which will go to Pam. But I also just wanted to add, congratulations to the organising committee, because you really did seek feedback from last year. And by the looks of what we've seen tonight, you've very much acted on that, which is really great to see.
And that's a great sign, because if you're implementing feedback, we'll just get better and better.
Would you mind passing the mic to Pam? Because just to pick up on that point, Carmen, Pam, what's the view from the investor community? What does a successful tech week do for both founders and investors?
Yeah, I suppose investors at any level, it's obviously very early stage, Cambridge Angels, but from the VC community as well, is deal flow, that you want to see early deals, even if they're too early for your investment stage. So seeing some of the raw talent that might develop, and Cambridge Enterprise, I'm sure they're here too, would be looking at that from the university. And I imagine you've got tech companies coming from outside Cambridge as well, which would be great. So it's for us to see that and to talk to each other, because I think it's interesting you mentioned South by Southwest, because I spent a lot of time in Austin, and that's another nexus of startups, investor money, a massively important university with a lot of Dell money behind it, and it's become a focal point, and Cambridge is bigger than that. But I think it's having all the multi-sector people together, because VCs all talk to each other, as you probably know, and angels tend to talk to each other, I mean, to a large extent. And I think having them all in the same place is really good, with the founders and with the youngsters. And this is not answering your question, but I'm so pleased you've got that final day on young people and schools, which is fantastic. So it's sort of multi-level, I think. We like to hang out with each other, but we like to hang out with tech founders as well.
Absolutely. So David, we touched on that you weren't actually in the country. Well, you're just in the country.
Just did, yeah.
Just kind of transitioning the conversation to Cambridge. It'd be interesting to get your perspective of Cambridge, from the States, as someone that hasn't been in the cluster, and now you've been here around 9 months. Has that perception changed in any way?
Honestly, yeah.
Absolutely, always honest. Yeah, absolutely.
No, like I said in the first question, obviously outside in, like I said, Harriet, it's no mystery that Cambridge has an exceptional history and heritage, right? Obviously, the university's iconic. The companies that I was a customer of, Arm and others from the US. So obviously, outside in, you kind of get a sense. It's a destination. When you get here on the ground, and I'm just going to talk about Cambridge a little bit here. That's okay, I think, in the science, but ultimately, it's phenomenal in terms of the intensity of the innovation here, and it is mind-blowing. And people talk about Silicon Valley, they talk about how incredible it is, and there's incredible stories there, and there's incredible depths of venture capital at work. But I really feel that my eyes were just really open to an incredible ecosystem. Obviously, the journey Pragmatic's been on has not been a short one. Started in 2010. I'm sure many in the room know co-founders, Scott White, Richard Price. It was a journey that was built on Cambridge in so many ways, from the early angel investor times through our Series A with CIC, ARM, and others, all the way through. Cambridge has been fundamentally important to it. And clearly, when you look at kind of the differences between the US and Cambridge, I do think that there's definitely sometimes a little more openness, let's say, in the US to kind of making sure we're bringing through more different views, more people, more, I would say, multifaceted kind of, let's say, stakeholders into some of these things. So I think that's an element that, can obviously come through in the event this time around. I would also say too that, ultimately, it is an incredible magnet for talent, and that's fantastic. And we've been able to take advantage of pools of expertise that are actually pretty hard to find, even in Silicon Valley. But obviously, as we look forward to, there's something about doing this in Cambridge, which again we're really proud of, has been hugely important, but also taking that innovation from Cambridge and then be able to drive investment and growth beyond Cambridge into the Northeast, where we're building our manufacturing lines, for example, something we're also very proud of. And so I think the ability of companies from Cambridge to have an impact more broadly in the country and then internationally is something that I think is a big part of the next chapter.
Fantastic. Carmen, New Quantum are a great example of a University of Cambridge spin-out. So maybe could you talk to how that process went for you, the support that you've had from the local ecosystem, and could you have done it anywhere else other than Cambridge?
Sure. So I think Cambridge is probably one of the best places in Europe to build a deep tech startup like New Quantum, and that's for a range of reasons. So I founded New Quantum in 2018, and we've gone through 2 funding rounds. Our seed rounds, 2.1 million in 2020, and we just closed an 8.5 million pre-Series A round. And all of our seed investors are pretty much all of the investors in Cambridge. So Amadeus, Icon Capital, Martlet, Cambridge Enterprise. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. And they all followed on in the next round. So that was really hugely important to setting up business, as was the involvement of Cambridge Enterprise at the beginning. So it was the Cambridge Enterprise team who encouraged me to look to see if I could commercialize the patent that I developed during my PhD. So really important, from the very beginning, then following through the investment, and then the thing that becomes really important after, I think, is the talent pool in Cambridge, and that's not really about the university. So we hire quite a lot of people from the university, but it's not really the bulk of our workforce. In this year, we have tripled the size of the company, so we've gone from 15, 16 to 46 people in 1 year. And about 2/3 of that team is technical, and about half of the technical team is PhDs, physicists. And we hire from University of Cambridge and mostly globally. But the other half is engineers, and they come from other companies in Cambridge. And that's without that, we would not have been able to scale this fast, because we need control, software, mechanical, electronics, lab management, all of these things, all of this talent already exists in Cambridge, and that's really what makes, for a company that wants to scale up, Cambridge an important place. Access to good facilities continues to be important for us, actually. And for a company like us, what we want from something like Cambridge Tech Week is a kind of marker of quality. So that globally Cambridge is recognized for 2 things. I think kind of the quality of the innovation and the technology that is developed here, and also, and I'm really glad to see that part of the program is about scaling up. That's really important, because we need more scale-ups. We need to attract that sort of investment, and so being a kind of marker for that, I think, would really benefit companies like us.
Fantastic, thank you. So Harry, I'm going to come to you now. The Cambridge ecosystem, I think, especially over the last 24 months, has made real strides in terms of how it promotes itself, how it markets itself. Cambridge And is a big part of that. Innovate Cambridge is a big part of that. So great foundational pieces. Tech Week obviously has a massive role to play in that. So how do we continue that? And how important is international connectivity important to the future growth of the cluster?
Yes, I mean, international connectivity is hugely important. I mean, even AstraZeneca would say they can't necessarily take a drug from idea to market entirely by themselves. And one of the reasons, and it's not betraying any confidence, when I was involved in conversations with MedImmune and AstraZeneca when they were considering coming to Cambridge back into 2012, 2013, in the previous role I had, Pascal made no bones about the fact that the reason that he was really serious about Cambridge was the world-class science, which you just talked about, Carmen, but also about the deeply collaborative nature of MedImmune and what he saw in terms of the collaborations and the partnerships, and that was with a whole range of organisations and institutes, not purely the university. So yeah, the need for collaborations is key, and in my Cambridge AND role, I can say hand on heart that every single small, medium or large company that I had, either deep and meaningful or tiny conversations with, the key thing for them every single time, without doubt, their top priority was long-term talent pipeline. And I'm not a scientist, and I was quite surprised by that, because I thought it would be, where's the best location? And of course that's a part of it, but a gun to their heads, it would be, if you can guarantee my long-term talent pipeline, we don't really care where it is. We'd love it to be within 4 miles of the centre of Cambridge, and the data that we can get out of biomedical campus, with the 3 hospitals and being close to the university. But actually, it's getting the right people at every level, and that can't possibly be done entirely from our own communities. Much as that would be amazing, we have to bring in and be porous international talent.
Pam, I know that you've got some thoughts on international capital as well.
Oh, yes. The big VCs are over here now in Sequoia, Anderson Horowitz, which is called A16Z. Are they here? Do you know why it's called A16Z? It's A and then Anderson Horowitz, Z at the end. Yeah, so they're here. We have members in the US. We have a famous one, Rolltron in California. And the sad thing is that it's good value here for VCs. I know it was the heady days of early 2021 when in my sector valuations were incredibly high. And the VCs, they don't say this, but they sort of come shopping over here. And that is still the case, regardless of, I don't know what you'd say about this, like your comments, as long as you agree with me. But,
100%, I agree.
Regardless of currency fluctuations, in Boston, it's Kendall Square, they know to come here. I mean, it sadly still is the Golden Triangle, Cambridge, Oxford and London, but we do attract still international capital. And our VCs work with them, and I think it's really good. The other thing that, sort of commenting on, I think Chris very quickly said we need to scale up, and Carmen mentioned scaling up. We lose too many of our companies, either IPOing in the States or to big strategic acquirers, and that's a shame. But in terms of what we're doing here, I would have thought we'd attract a lot of strategic, as well as companies like in my world, GE, Boston Scientific, as well as international venture capital. And I think a measure of how successful it is at JP Morgan. Any of you who's been, you don't go to the main meeting because only close to gold people go to that. So you go to all the fringes, and you have to book a table like this in a hotel for a meeting, and hotel prices more than 5 times the normal rate. So I think that's a measure. If people are booking tables for meetings, because they all know that everybody's there at the same time. And you've made me think tonight that's what would be good, I think. Do you agree?
I 100% agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. One thing I would say on the comment, because we had a lot of discussions. We just recently completed our first close of our Series D round in December. And obviously a challenging environment, so we were delighted with the result. And we're also delighted too that 70% of that came from UK sources. And so I think there's been a lot of progress of late in terms of obviously opening up those capital pools, here. Obviously, policymakers looking at how you expand mandates for investments into scale-up companies that need more capital than might be kind of typical for your earlier stage venture raise. And so obviously we were delighted with the result. We were delighted too that so much was able to come from UK sources and allow us to continue to grow and invest here. We're going to invest £500 million over the next 5-6 years in our manufacturing here in the UK. And that's something that, if you can get the backing of UK venture capital to do that, it's an extremely positive result for the country too.
And Carmen, obviously quantum is a very international industry. I'm assuming that it's a very good thing for the world to be coming to the outdoor step here.
For sure, yeah. Quantum, like most of the technology sectors that that will feature in Cambridge Tech Week, it's global. It just makes absolutely no sense to think about just one country as a market. It won't work like that. So we need to build a global brand that will be recognized outside of the UK. Not only for fundraising. I'm really surprised at those figures. What was the percentage of UK?
70% of our $230 million round. I should list all the investors now too, right? So.
I mean, I'd like to know. We can exactly. But yeah, not only for raising money, but just for when we go talk to customers like NVIDIA or Cisco, if in their back of their minds, Cambridge is not a little village in the UK, but a center for global technology, that really helps actually. So yeah, I would go as far as saying that something like Cambridge Tech Week is as good as the amount of people that they can bring in from outside Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was a great comment to end the panel on from Carmen, bringing in people from the outside of Cambridge. And I also really loved the narrative of this being the South by Southwest for Cambridge. I thought that was quite catchy.
Yeah, I think that's a nice aspiration to have, to be something of the scale and impact of South by Southwest. And that's the right kind of ambition to have. Absolutely. And I think everyone's definitely listened to the feedback from last year's. And I think, more engagement outside of Cambridge has been heard as some feedback. And it's great to see that starting to happen.
Yeah, indeed. And we can come on to that when we talk to Russ in a little while as well. So at the end of the panel, there were some audience questions. No surprise. The first one that came up was from the local community asking about the impact of infrastructure and skills and all those kinds of things. And I thought Harriet gave a really good response to that on the insights of the work that Cambridge Ahead are doing to push really for inclusive growth.
Yeah, that's right. And also friend of the show, Simon Thorpe, who's been on before, asked a question about engaging across the UK to places like Manchester. You may recall there was the announcement between the University of Cambridge and Manchester to form stronger ties, which Chris confirmed is actually already taking place or is in the plan, which is great to hear.
Yeah, it is. And I know Chris is working on different locations as well for other launch events after Cambridge and London have now completed. Chris also said there's going to be a UK Tech Week activity. I can't quite get my head around what that one was. So I think we could do with getting hold of Chris and finding out a little bit more about that. I also spoke to the Cambridge event host whilst I was at the Cambridge launch, and that was Mills and Reeve. In the opening presentation, I actually learned something, and I learned that their footprint is global, but their biggest office in Cambridge. So I talked to Doug McDonald afterwards and asked him to tell me a little bit more and to share his thoughts on Cambridge Tech Week. Doug, you did the introduction to the evening for us, didn't you? So thank you for joining me for a moment. One thing that I didn't realise was about Mills and Reeves, that you're global, but the largest office is in Cambridge. So you don't necessarily have that global office footprint, but you have that remit.
Yeah, that's right. A third of our work is international in nature. We are the largest English law firm not to have an overseas office. And so what we have is we have a network of referral firms where we pick the best of local for our clients to make sure the local firm is right for the client. And we commit a lot of time to travelling internationally to make sure they are the right firm to refer our clients to. But the reality is, especially in the technology sector, that the majority of our clients are always looking into other jurisdictions and looking to expand, and also other companies from around the world coming into Cambridge. So the international work is there every day.
And is it a specific kind of tech, or are you interested in any tech?
Good question. The word tech is so broad and wide-ranging. The reality is that what we do is it covers all tech, but actually we have particular focus areas where we do have different groups within the firm looking at different tech. So whether that might be health tech or med tech or tech bio, we do have particular lawyers that are experts in each particular segment within the broader tech umbrella.
Right, brilliant. Thank you for just giving us a quick overview of Mills and Reeves. And we're here launching Cambridge Tech Week, so what do you think it's going to be like? What do you think of the presentations today?
I thought they're great, and the really exciting thing is that everyone appears to be on the same page. It's very much not about shouting about the Cambridge brand. That talks for itself. It's actually making sure that Cambridge Tech Week is for the entire world and for getting everyone from all over the world to come to Cambridge to talk about tech.
Brilliant. Thanks, Doug. And James, you caught up with Russ Shaw too ahead of the London event, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, on that theme of engaging outside of Cambridge, great to see that there was a London launch event as well as a Cambridge launch event. So myself and Russ go way back, so it was a great opportunity to catch up with him. And I started by asking Russ to introduce himself.
So my name is Russ Shaw. I'm the founder of Tech London Advocates and Global Tech Advocates. And we are essentially a network of communities and hubs around the world coming together in a voluntary capacity to support startups and scale-ups wherever they are.
Amazing. Yeah, and I saw the beginning of Tech Advocates London way back in the day, and it's the growth has been incredible. And you've been supporting the launch of Cambridge Tech Week in London, which is exciting. So I guess my first question is, how can a Tech Week improve the connectivity and collaboration for a city?
Yeah, I think a Tech Week like Cambridge Tech Week is really important. I got involved many years ago to set up London Tech Week and have seen that week of activities go from strength to strength. And I think for Cambridge, it's really an opportunity to kind of have your show window up and running for an entire week to display what is going on in the Cambridge tech ecosystem. What's the talent like? What's the level of investment that's going into the Cambridge tech sector? Obviously, there's a fabulous university that makes up Cambridge as well. What's going on there? Why does that play such a critical role? And, for me, Cambridge punches enormously above its weight in terms of its size and scale. I think it's the Global Innovation Index has ranked Cambridge number one in terms of, I guess, the size and scale and intensity of innovation for its size as a city. And I think that really is an important marker that distinguishes Cambridge. So Tech Week, Cambridge Tech Week, can really spend time during the week letting everybody else know what's going on, kind of opening up the kimono, if you will, and saying, this is all the good stuff that's happening in Cambridge.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear so much about the importance of community. You touched on in your introduction, the Global Tech Advocates Network. I mean, that really is a testament to the power of community. So what kind of lessons and tips can you share from growing that community?
I think first and foremost, this community is built on collaboration. We're all volunteers trying to create something bigger and better. And I think in terms of Cambridge and Cambridge Tech Week, it's about demonstrating the collaboration that's in the ecosystem and being able to show through people's better angels, if you will, what they can do to make something even bigger, bolder, and more special. And I've seen this. We now have 34 groups or hubs, if you will, in our network, covering over 50 countries. And I speak to the leaders in different parts of the world every day, and there's just a real passion and enthusiasm for building communities that focus on a mission. And in this case, it's about really supporting the startups and scale-ups who are changing the world, who are disrupting the world, who are building the future products and services. So it has a very strong future orientation grounded on a belief that, digital and technology can make such a fundamental difference in our lives for good. We know that there is could potentially some bad things happening with digital and tech, and we're also speaking out about those issues as well. But again, it's the collaboration, it's the explanation to folks who may not be as close to the sector. That's one of the reasons why our community exists.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're super busy, so my final question before I let you go. Obviously, a lot of stuff comes past you in your role. You're seeing, what's going on in tech, not only in the UK, but globally. So when you look ahead, either to Cambridge Tech Week or more generally across the year for the UK tech industry or globally, what are you excited about?
I think many things excite me. I think on the horizon, I guess, kind of two big things. One is around the importance of how we use technology to drive net zero and sustainability. And there's probably not a tech hub I've come across anywhere in the world that isn't looking at that and trying to address that, which is what I think is probably the planet's biggest challenge. And then it's the emerging technologies that are going to help us along the way. When I look at quantum, when I look at chips in the semiconductor sector, when I look at generative AI and data analytics, when I look at life sciences and the whole biotechnology space, what's happening in all of those sectors is going to be hugely transformational. And I think bringing that back to Cambridge Tech Week, Cambridge as a tech hub and ecosystem has its tentacles in all of those areas and many more. Quantum businesses are emerging. The chip sector, has some of its roots in Cambridge. The data analytics piece, life sciences, you can trace a lot of the success of the broader UK tech ecosystem to some of the exciting things that are happening in Cambridge. So to me, what's on the horizon, what's coming out, what we even don't know about today really excites me. And Cambridge Tech Week, I think, is an opportunity to share and expose so many to the great things that are happening there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's so much to get excited about. And as you say, Cambridge has a role to play in many, if not all of those sectors. So, thanks so much. And, appreciate the support you're giving to Cambridge Tech Week. We're certainly going to be covering it in the run up and as the week unfolds. So, lots to look forward to. Thanks so much for coming on, Russ.
Thank you for having me, and great to be a Cambridge Tech Week ambassador.
Yeah, it's really great to have advocates like Russ in place for the event as well. And there were other speakers involved in the London event as well. So there was Ollie Barrett, Stan Boland, Kian Hughes, Manjari Chandran Ramesh, and the hosts were Rathbones.
And so to wrap up this week's episode, Faye, I believe you caught up with Chris Bruce.
I did, and that's only right, seeing as he's the chair of the Cambridge Tech Week Steering Committee. So, Chris, we've just launched. I mean, we've been part of the audience and you've been up there and you've just launched Cambridge Tech Week for 2024. How does that feel?
Fantastic. We've been working on it for so long. It's really nice, having had lots and lots of conversations with people across Cambridge and outside, to actually be able to stand up with a packed room and launch the programme.
And a really good response, I think. I just told you, and I'm going to completely drop Matt into it now. So Matt McLaughlin from Foresight Group just said to myself and Anne Bailey, should we get involved in this? And we both went, yes, absolutely. So I think that's Fantastic. The kind of response you want, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we want lots of organisations and companies in and around Cambridge, in fact from outside of Cambridge too, to get involved to make this even better than last year.
When you were talking, you said you wanted to be like South by Southwest. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I meant was, not necessarily a music festival, what I meant was this should be an event for global tech coming together. And if you roll forward, a vision for 10 years, say, I'd like to think that global tech has Cambridge on its calendar, say, right, in September, we need to be in Cambridge because that's where everybody else is going to be. A bit like Mobile World Congress for the telecoms business, which I know. But you don't have to have come from Austin, Texas to be involved in South by Southwest, and you won't have to come from Cambridge to be involved in Cambridge Tech Week. Now, there probably will be a lot of Cambridge Tech there because there's a lot of it, but I think the point is we've got to open the doors and encourage people in, because there's all sorts of other collaborations and contributions that can come in all sorts of ways: technology, business development, investment, selling, buying, who knows.
And I think sitting in the audience, that came across really well, that it's not a Cambridge for Cambridge event. So I think, that message did come over.
And it's why we've got a fantastic event here this evening hosted by Mills and Reeve, which we really appreciate. We've got great turnout. But we've got another one in London, deliberately so, hosted by Rathbones, for the same sort of audience, but less Cambridge people, but similar investors, entrepreneurs, and other members of the ecosystem, with a slightly different message, which is jump on the train, come to Cambridge, because there's great stuff happening.
Absolutely. So Nick Finlayson-Brown from Mills and Reeves, the host, as you just mentioned, he started by saying you've got to remember 3 words. What are those 3 words?
Oh, no, you're testing me. Innovate, invest, grow. They've been my mantra for the last 6 months.
Brilliant. So definitely we're going to all be watching out for all the announcements that are coming out. And where are people going to go for more information?
Well, the Cambridge Tech Week website is still live from last year. We're now updating it with content for 2024, which will be in September, 9th to the 13th of September. We've got a number of exciting modules and programs, and we've announced the overall shape of the week. We'll start going into detail once those are confirmed in the next few weeks and months as we go through spring. But we've got a number of things that we're excited to be able to announce, but not yet ready to. So watch this space.
Oh, I love the teaser. Thank you for that. And I'd better let you go and do some more networking now.
Thank you very much, Faye.
So keep your ears and eyes peeled. As the official podcast partner for Cambridge Tech Week, we'll be bringing you regular news and updates as they become available. And we'll see you next week.
Today's show was produced by Carl Homer of Cambridge TV and supported by our media partner, Business Weekly. The Cambridge Tech Podcast is available on all major podcast platforms and on cambridgetechpodcast.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give it a 5-star review. It will really help others discover the show.